Come, okay, let's start now. Okay, we're having about 1 hour, so I'll leave about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, time permits to have any Q&A. Okay, so today's our main theme is about the fanless embedded PC that you typically see out in the market, and the applications and also the trends that we see, and also some of the differentiating factors that that we have that is of value to customers. Okay, so okay, let's start on. Okay, now one thing I think everyone has been noticing is that previously everybody for the past maybe say 5 to 10 years ago, people were talking about cloud first, cloud first, cloud first, and the past few years, this current trend is the data center is moving to the edge, which means no longer just cloud first. What we are seeing in the past 2 years especially is a lot of trend when it comes to edge computing, where in also edge AI, which I'll cover later. So as you can see from here, even from IDC forecast, okay, there are many IoT connected devices, which generates a lots of data. I'm not so sure how many zero is zettabytes, but that's quite a lot. And now a lot of deployment, right? There are concerns about bandwidth, which obviously will comes. The next thing people will talk about is cost. And then also when I have so much data and dump it to the data center, there will be actually certain latency. So the edge, when it comes to edge computing, another whole lot of concerns will come out. So I list 3 of them. One is on the PC selection issue, like for various different application, you may have more consideration when you want to put it at the edge. What kind of environment you're going to put it in? Okay, the management challenges, because you got to manage all these devices, and some of these devices might be housed in the remote location. So this becomes another concern. When it comes to remote, it means this device is going to a place where no humans or there are very few people there. Or you want to travel to that distance, it might take you hours. Or like say, for example, you deploy in Kalimantan, that kind of area. So there's this management challenges, remote management challenges, okay? And the other area will be in terms of environmental issues on the edge, where you deploy. Am I putting in a hazardous area? Am I putting in the vehicle? Am I putting on the train? Am I putting on a boat? So there are also many different considerations. Okay, so these are some of the this is some of the consideration that you need to take care of. Okay, next. So we have been seeing all those fanless PC. Normally, fanless PC is actually very compact, ultra small. And when you deploy, the common market, the common verticals like transportation, signage, smart city, industry 4.0, all these has been around. And just for the past 1 to 2 years, where we are looking into AI, where there are more and more people looking into having more intelligence, deep learning on the device. So what we see as some of the trends. Okay, transportation, I think is everybody knows that in vehicle. Either I'm going to put a truck, bus, or maybe car. Okay, then for signage, recently there's also the movement from OPS, Open Pluggable Specification, which is a slot-in PC to display. And nowadays, people are also looking into smart display module, which is a more modern form that can support 4K. Signage analytics has started not just from audience recognition, it also has facial recognition. Some in the retail may want to house it near the point of sale, where they can actually try to recognize a person, a VIP or certain areas. Smart cities, the first one that comes into mind usually is surveillance. Okay, especially like in Singapore, where you have so many cameras. In China, it's far worse. Okay, so we have areas like IoT gateway, retail. Retail, though, because of COVID-19 has slowed down. There are also other new upcoming trends like e-ink, because as you can see, some of the displays that are in the market, typically for outdoor, they may need high brightness, consume a lot more power. E-ink is actually another alternative. Okay, Industry 4.0 will be machine vision. OEE is basically overall equipment efficiency. Okay, preventive maintenance, and then the new stuff, HAI. And HAI actually covers many aspects. I'll cover that later. Okay, so you can see from here, more and more different kind of customer demand. When they look at a fanless PC, usually a fanless PC is like you are going to put in an outdoor or high temperature or low temperature environment, wider temperature environment. Then there'll be more and more demands. First, there are more I/O requirements now. From a general just 232, I may want more field bus support. Field bus can be Modbus, ProfitNet, or something else. I will have fanless design, wider operating temperature. Okay, and in terms of wireless, is not just Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Now you have a lot of LPWAN also in the market. Then you have inventory control, because obviously you want to have a fanless unit, you want to have it for different application, but I do not want to keep so many spare stocks. Okay, I may just want to keep it just for maintenance. I want to have that flexibility. Okay, and last but not least, remote management is how I'm going to manage all these devices. So as you can see from here, Advantech has we actually has started to cover all these concerns, and we are no longer just a pure hardware company. Okay, so we added some more software add-on, value add-on that can help the customers. Okay, so what are the key differentiation, okay, for our units? So when taking into account all these demands, we started to actually done something for the past 3 to 4 years to do more enhancement. So some of the key enhancement that we have done, okay, fanless design. We start to apply far more stringent requirements when it comes to fanless environment design. I'll elaborate this on the next slide. Come to wide temperature range. Due to the current modern processors and components, wide temperature range now can go even further, -30 to 70 degrees, depending on which SKU we are using. Okay. In fact, our PCB, we actually use a much more higher grade TG150 of a PCB type. Our capacitors, we use the X7R type, which is even better tolerance. Okay, not like the normal typical V5W that's used by other industrial PC makers. Okay, so we started to get more stringent more strict component selection. EMI, EMC, or FCC. Some of our models actually includes FCC Class B. Okay, you can see a lot of companies having Class A. Class A is quite generic. Class B is usually used more for industrial applications. Okay, and more stricter. Okay, and we have anti-vibration concerns. So, in fact, many of our ports, most of our ports now, in certain ways, it can be lockable. For example, some of our HDMI ports and everything, we actually have a lockable version. Okay, we can actually to connect to the unit so that it can withstand better in terms of vibration and shock. A typical vibration can be about 1G operating, or shock can be 20G non-operating and all this. So we start to do far more stringent test requirements. It doesn't apply to all the models, but certain models. Okay, in power inputs, we have 12 or 24 volt, or even have wide range. You can switch and swap. And the modular design, I'll elaborate more on the modular design later. And most importantly, the ability for you to do remote management. So this remote management is where I can actually, at a central location, a command center, I can actually dial in, log in, and then to check requirement, check the status, monitor the system, and then to trigger alerts, assuming if there's something odd happening. Okay. In fact, in certain situations, you can even update the BIOS remotely. So this already saves you a lot of manpower or man hours cost. Okay. Now, so what I mean by stricter fanless PC thermal design. Okay, so in a typical cross section of a fanless PC, okay, first I'd like to highlight one thing. This just to take note for all. A fanless PC does not mean it can run in a fanless environment. Always take that into consideration. A fanless PC, typically you need airflow to run. Okay, it's not a pure still air. Okay, so a typical industrial PC makers in the market, the typical industrial standard, I mean, what people usually test for is about 1 inch top of the heatsink and 1 meter per second airflow. Okay. How we apply a more stringent airflow requirements. In fact, when we do our DQA testing in the lab, before it's actually mass pro, our test requirement is actually slower airflow, 0.7 meter per second. Okay, it's much more stringent. Slower airflow means your thermal to dissipate in nature fact is in a slower environment. Okay, so but we have a much more stringent requirement. Then the second thing is that our CPU loading, when we test at 100% CPU loading at 0.7 meter per second airflow. There are some vendors or manufacturers, they actually test at 75% CPU loading instead. So this is something which you have to request their test report to verify. Okay, and to make our unit more slimmer, we have to use some specific design in contact, like copper pipes internally in the unit to help to dissipate the heat faster. And another approach that we often do is to have the thermal dissipation from the drives, the hard drive or SSD, and the thermal dissipation from the PCB, the main board internally. We split the two up, so to make it not shared. In a way, each would have their own thermal transfer, makes it even faster. So this is actually some of the cooling mechanism or the cooling standards we apply to our system. Okay. Now, and we have many different models in terms of our Fanless unit. We have the very small compact size 1000 series. Okay, all these currently at the moment all are Atom. We will be having, Intel will be releasing the Tiger Lake UP, which is a ultra low voltage Core I, not yet, I think maybe Q4. And we will also have that in a very ultra compact Core I performance unit. Okay, we have the 2000 series, which we call the multi IO series. Is slim. Okay, it's not meant to be too tall, but have more ports because of the size. Okay. And we have the 3000 series, which have added more expandability in terms of slots. It can be a PCI or PCIe or other slots. Okay, and in fact, some of the 3000 series can even go up to Xeon E, Xeon series of processor. So for those who need the extra edge or an extra power or performance, they can actually opt for that. Okay, next. So let's look at the modular design. I mentioned about the modular design. So what kind of modular expandability you are looking at? Okay, first, if you look carefully, our units here, okay, for this series and this series, there's also an ability to stack. Okay, so we can actually stack a second module. We call it MIOE module. So what internally it does is that in the internal motherboard, we have a special interface which we can actually plug in extra stack, extra function, feasibility, maybe extra COM port, extra LAN port, even PoE, okay, where you can actually expand easily. So we can actually have the main base unit and then expand at the bottom. That base unit at the bottom expansion is up to you. Maybe for different application, I may use different things. Okay, so besides this stackable approach, one stack only, we also have something we call I-door. It's basically a slot, an opening, okay, a metal piece plate. Internally, all this, there is a interface, extra interface, they can plug it into your mini PCIe. Okay, so they can expand out. Maybe I want extra COM port, I want extra maybe DIO, or maybe a few bus module. Okay, I can do that kind of expansion. So basically, it helps you in terms of saving inventory and very, very modular design. You can actually combine it with many different what you call selection. Okay, and even the power module, we may have a standard 12 volt or 24 volt power in, but some of the application I may need wide voltage. You can actually even switch and swap that power module. We just have 2 screws over here, and then you just remove that power module and replace it. Okay, so we have that kind of options that we provide to customers. So this is a very good snapshot of what we have in terms of the expandability. Okay, so power, you can actually change. Display, we have a third display that you can actually modify. Okay, or even the ARK Plus is basically the bottom stack. We have it for CAN bus, multiple COM, multiple gigabit LAN, and then even have one that has 4 times PoE. Okay, so this PoE usually is more to cameras. Okay, so the door will be the I door will be the one that I mentioned. This is the slot where you can actually expand out. So there is tons of flexibility. I can configure it for different application or different usage. Okay. Now, what are the popular models that we have? We have the Apollo Lake series, the Atom. We have this ultra slim. I'm talking about the popular model of last year. We also have the one that can actually accept desktop SKU CPU, okay, even up to 65 watt. Okay, so we have some that's expandable, and we have a very popular DIN rail model that is useful for many customers who apply. In fact, this is one of our hot selling model. Okay, then upcoming, we will have a one DIN rail that have more function. This will be a star attraction. This is actually very small. You look at it, it seems very big, but actually it's quite compact with multiple function. And the good thing is that This is based on Whiskey Lake, the Intel Whiskey Lake, the latest ultra low voltage Core I processor that can even support quad core. Yeah, the previous generation all only dual core. This can support quad core. So this is a very compact unit. It will be out in June. Okay, and this is another version that can accept desktop model with more ports, more LAN ports and everything, more for surveillance and other usage or networking. So this is also another upcoming model. Okay. Now, what add on to the units that we have? Okay, we have many customers asking also for wireless integration, wireless module integration. Obviously, we have a mini PCIe or M2 socket. We can actually accommodate wireless module. However, we do encounter certain situations where customers will they start to choose between wide temperature wireless module and a normal temperature wireless module. A normal temperature wireless module can be supporting up to 60 degree or 70 degree, whereas wide temp can go up to 85 degree. Okay. To be very frank, I can run and I can take a normal up to 70 degree environment wireless module and plug into my system. It will still work. However, in reality, the throughput will drop. You can see from the chart over here, as the temperature goes higher, okay, the throughput will plummet. Okay, so obviously at the negative side, it's the same thing. So if you want to maintain this kind of same bandwidth and the speed, you have to choose a wider temperature module. We do have a lot of different selections that you can choose, be it just for Wi-Fi or even for 4G. Okay, and upcoming we also will have 5G version that will be up. Okay, so this just to take note. The performance will drop if you choose a non-one. So you have to look at your environment, then take into account that. Obviously, yes, and don't forget, besides performance drop, number one killer for electronics is always heat. So if, for example, you use it a normal one and put in a constantly high operating temperature, that wireless module will degrade over time. In fact, it will be far faster. The lifespan won't be as long. Okay, so just take note of this. Okay, we also have, besides this, we have optional add-on. We have what we call our industrial grade flash drive. So this flash drive is not just a typical flash drive. It's not just pure storage. In fact, we added in a lot of enhancement. We added in some software that can help you in terms of, be it for software intellectual protection via security ID, emergency erase, live monitoring, and we also have implemented two types of power failure protection. One either on the firmware level, okay, and the other one is where there's onboard titanium capacitors that can help in the sense of, for example, when there's a sudden power failure, those capacitors will hold all the charge. And then that sudden power failure, they can actually discharge it, let all the data to be copied in a safe environment so that it can prevent errors. So we have that kind of options. Okay, so this part I will let my colleague to elaborate more in the next session about all the different flash drives. So we do have this kind of options that customers may want to employ with. Okay, and it's customizable. They're all customizable. Okay, another add-on. This is FOC now, free. It's called the WISE-DeviceOn. Okay, we have two types of WISE-DeviceOn. So the one that I'm referring to is the DeviceOn app. So this is a ready-to-use remote management software. Okay, you can actually install at the server end and also at the client end. Client end is at your edge. Okay, and you can install the agent. It will auto link up to your backend server. And what does it do? Basically, it actually helps monitor the hardware functionality. Is it overheating? And you want to manage it in a sense, you want to set up what time you want to on, what time you want to off, or if there's certain alerts that you need to trigger message, you can actually send that message straight to your mobile phone, okay, or back to your backend. So it really depends what are the requirements that you want. You also have over-the-air updates. Okay, even you want to update your application or you want to update your BIOS, okay, you can set your own rule engine. Okay, and we also throw into a free version of McAfee whitelisting and also Acronis backup. Okay, so this is a very useful feature. It actually, the main key purpose of this is to help you and your customer to manage the device remotely. I do not need to be physically there. You just imagine if I'm in Malaysia, I mount certain things on the North-South Highway, Expressway. Okay, maybe this thing is detected faulty in Pago, which is in between Malacca and I think, yeah, I've forgotten. I think it's in between. Is it between KL and Singapore? So it can alert me. I can remotely go in, like team viewer mode. I can remote KVM in. I see what's wrong. Instead of I need to send someone physically to go down there, 2 hours to reach there, fix the thing, 2 hours to go back, 1/2 day or whole day gone. So just take into account this. It actually, in fact, help you save money. Okay, so this is a very, very useful utility that you can take note of. Okay, and this second slide is basically to show you the capabilities, how you see in a GUI format in that. So this picture is showing you, the one in the center is showing all the network speed, the software process, okay, or you can off certain apps to see what's the application, the temperature. This is basically per device, what's the status of the device, or if there's any alert to trigger you. And this add-on is assuming you're running Windows 10, and I may need to enable some enabling feature. Okay, so this only works with Windows 10, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work with Linux. We do support Linux, certain flavor of Linux, okay, for this system. Okay, now comes to transportation. Transportation have tons of other consideration. You can't just take a typical fanless PC and can mount it on a bus, on any vehicle, or even a train. There are many different requirements or different certification that's needed. For example, so how we denote our selection in terms of vertical, those that is with the R behind is our railway series, rolling stock series. All these come with EN 50155 certification for train. Okay, and some of them, as you can see, comes with M12 interface. Okay, this is actually for dirt and vibration prone area. We have the V series that's meant for vehicle, like car, like buses, on road mainly. The S series is actually meant for surveillance. There's more port, more PoE, that you can actually connect to interface to cameras. Okay, so what are the considerations when it comes to vehicles? So just take a normal vehicle as an example. These are the typical certification that you see in an in-vehicle PC. Okay, I just go through a few that is very important to consider. One is the ISO 7637-2 cert. This is related to power because in a vehicle, power is never stable, and the power condition, there's so many. I'll show that in a different slide. Okay, obviously you need to have wide operating temperature. It might be due to you're putting in under the hot sun. You need to run it. When you just start the engine, you need to run it. We have vibration. This is very obvious. Everybody knows the vehicle tends to vibrate. However, we have a much more stringent test, which most of our competitors do not test for, which is this EN 60721-3-2, 5M3. This test cert is very stringent. It's 3 times harsher than Mini 3. Okay, so we have this, that we have undergone this far stringent test. Okay, then SAE is actually meant for, it actually stands for Society of Automotive Engineer. And there are many substandards in this. So we have the J1455 is typically for your general requirements. 1113, not many companies or not many vendors actually go for tests because it's not easy to pass. It's more for EMI, EMC. And then whereas the other J1939 is more for CAN bus for vehicle, and 170 is the old standard. So these are the things that we actually qualify for or test for. Okay, so if in the next slide for vehicle, so many vehicle power consideration. You can, it's very wordy. Okay, so I just give a brief idea. We have difficult automotive transient that you keep worrying. Okay, so it doesn't mean that I have a wide voltage range input fanless unit. I can work for a vehicle. No, it can't. Okay, you have to think of what it happened of vehicle situation like cranking, load dump, okay, or what you call inductive loading or jump starting. Inductive loading will be situations like, for example, I want to on aircon, power window, that kind of thing. Actually, all these create certain ripples, and you need to look at all these noise factor. Okay, typical worst case will be load dump, where the voltage can shoot super sky high. Okay, now this is very wordy. When I send you the slide, you can take a look at it. But just bear in mind this. And then if it's in the railway, even worse. Railway, typically the voltage range is plus minus 40% tolerance. It's not 1 or 2 volt, it's plus minus 40% tolerance. So there are different environment, you need different kind of certification. So these are the things that you need to factor in. Okay, next. So now let's talk about Edge AI, a very hot topic for the past 1 year. So where is AI technology heading towards, the trends, and later part I also explain how to select. Okay, so as you know, AI is a hot topic right now. The revenue is keep growing. We are now somewhere over here in the middle, 2020. Okay, these colors denotes the different services, and what we see, and the AI actually can be used in different applications that you can see from the side. Okay, so what we see as the biggest trend now, first, government sector is usually the largest customer base, because they have many concerns. In usually top of their mind is surveillance. You just in China alone, the amount of cameras that have been bought, the amount of surveillance and the AI been applied is huge, tremendous. Even in Singapore we have a lot of cameras all over the place, and the government is also looking into add-on features like facial recognition in the airport, behavior analytics, not so much in Singapore, but behavior analytics, but facial FR is a lot. Transportation use, public services use, like virtual agents, there are many. And the other aspect will be smart cameras. Previously, I can do all the back-end processing at the edge, which is on the PC side. Now I do it on the camera side. At the camera side, I may deploy an add-on module to do some deep learning acceleration. So these are the things that is trend that's coming out. More and more, you'll start to see this. Okay, and so when you select Edge AI PCs, one of the first questions I always ask customer is, are you doing for training purpose or are you doing for inferencing purpose? There are differences between the two. They are not the same. Okay. For Edge AI, typically because you're going to deploy to site in an industrial environment, you need to consider power. You need to consider the what you call the speed of response. Okay, so in typical fashion, inferencing is a better objective, not training. But I'm not saying that training is not important. There is certain aspect that maybe I still need to deploy training. Maybe say, for example, I'm going to deploy around the whole Singapore. I don't 200 units. I may not need all 200 units to go for training. I may just need it for a few junctions. I create a model that is acceptable, and then I use inferencing instead. So what's the key difference? Okay, when we talk about deep learning, it's basically using neural network to train a model, a neural net. Okay, CNN for imaging, RNN for language, and all this. So what it does is that you collect a lot of data. You train the model first. See, is this, you label the data. Is this a animal, a object, or something? Okay, and if it's not correct, you will tweak and retrain, change the parameters a bit until the model is what we call acceptable accuracy. It might be, say, 95% accuracy, 92% accuracy. It really depends on the level of accuracy that your customer or you can accept. Okay, then you apply. Okay, so this is the process of training. It can take many days, weeks, months, okay, just to fine-tune the model to be as accurate as possible. So that's the training process. Okay, it's actually quite resource intensive. Okay, now inferencing is basically I take a trained model, a model that has been trained. Okay, this model is acceptable accuracy already. So I apply one-time pass-through. So what it does is basically I may use accelerator, okay, and I will just apply one go, okay, because the model is already trained, so I can get the output. So in a way, it's a faster reaction. I don't need high thermal dissipation. It's a hardware or ASIC already deployed and designed for it. So inferencing is usually a preferred approach for edge computing. Okay, now backend maybe training, but in the front end, where you are at the edge, inferencing is a better approach. Okay, so look at the key benefits of edge computing when it comes to AI. Okay, so why at the edge? Why not at the backend? Okay, there's also a couple of realistic reasoning or rationale behind. First, you're reducing costs. You just imagine video are very big files, megabyte. The whole day, you can imagine the bandwidth cost. Okay, and that is humongous. That cost to send a video back. Why not you have it at the edge? You process it, you get the metadata that you want, the results they want, and then you send to the backend, not the entire video file. So cost is a big issue. Latency, obviously, you need to react on the site, like almost real time or real time. Okay, there are also certain applications you have no choice. You have to do it in the real time. If I deploy drones and I need to navigate within all the obstacles, if I send all the data to the cloud and then come back, I already hit something. So there are certain applications I need low latency, I need fast response. Security, privacy. Okay, basically, if you need to connect to the backend, to the cloud, means I need to transmit, I need to have more, I need to go through the switches, I need to go through the network. There will be points of areas where security might be compromised. Okay, if I have everything at the edge, then I have less worries. Power efficiency is obvious. There are certain applications you definitely need to factor in power. AR, VR, drones, power is not unlimited. You have to factor that in. There's a function to your battery size, and your battery size is a function of your weight. And then the ability to scale, also very important. So edge is actually something where it's a common trend now, and now a lot of people is looking to edge AI instead of everything to the backend. It's more of a hybrid system. Okay, some process backend calculation may be done at the cloud side to consolidate all the data that you receive from the edge, but at the edge you can actually do far more, then send back. So actually in this way you save costs. Okay. Now, so some of the edge AI evaluation criteria. First, you got to ask yourself, are you doing training, inferencing? Speed more important, accuracy more important, real time, power constraint, as you can see from the picture there, smart cameras, autonomous car, wide temperature, cost. Okay, bear in mind cost. We do have many customers who say, hey, expensive, expensive or what? But sometimes you have to look at cost into a bigger objective. Look at the TCO, total cost of ownership. If you buy something that's very cheap, sometimes you also worry. What if it fails on site? What is the downtime cost? The total cost of ownership is equal to the purchase cost, the cost that you buy the hardware or the platform. If downtime cost is if the system down on site, how much money I will stand to lose. This is a very critical cost. Okay. And man-hour cost, if it's keep constant failure, how much man-hour cost I will need to spend. Obviously, freight will be up. During warranty, freight is actually the supplier. But after that, if it's frequently down, the freight cost will be up to you. So you have to factor the entire cost. And then from there, you see which is your best cost-saving approach. So these are some of the edge AI evaluation criteria. So what we have for the edge AI selection. Okay, what we do is that below here, these are all the Intel Movidas platform, the current Myrick X. Okay, so we have either M2, we have mini PCIe for 1 or 2 VPU. The M2 is 1 VPU. We also have one for 4 or 8 VPUs. Okay, and the future, we will have the new Kin Bay that should be released. I think it will be pushed back to Q4. We will have a 2 version. This is basically 3 VPUs. And we also have another one, which is the M2 form factor. On the inferencing system, okay, the VPUs from Intel is actually kind of hot. They are not really, though they are low power if you compare to NVIDIA, but they are still relatively quite hot. So not a typical fanless PC can just mount it because many fanless PC design may not factor in that kind of heat. So what we do is that we actually modify our some of our units to able to accommodate and then let it run for thorough testing, stringent testing to make sure that the thermal envelope it can cover. So we have some that is slot based. They can put these VPUs like the Air 300. We also have a lower cost version of this. Then some is like Atom or Core i based. They can put others. And one very good add-on that we have right now is the Edge AI suite. So it's not just hardware. We have software to help. We also have the device on in all these systems. So remote management is not an issue. So what's this Edge AI suite? Okay. So these are the breakdown of the different types, the specs. So I won't go through this. Okay. So this Edge AI suite. Okay. We actually create this free bundle software. Okay, it's FOC, free bundle software with obviously with our Air system, okay, our Air hardware platform. Okay, what we include is the entire Intel OpenVINO toolkit, release 3.1. It's already incorporated in it. Okay, and we make it GUI based, so you can choose the models that you want. in either Intel's model Zoo. Okay, you will translate, change, convert to IR. It's not CLI based, it's GUI based. Okay, so in a way you can actually see, and then you translate, and then you test. You go and do your inferencing and test. So either you select which framework you want to use, which model that you've been using, or you want to use your own model, test it. And then after that, right, you can do a system monitoring to check the CPU performance, the GPU performance, the VPU performance, the temperature and the performance range, okay, and then the memory usage that's been used up. This is a very good performance measurement tool. Why? For software vendors, the AI software companies, they want to see how well, how optimized is their neural net, their model. And by using this, they have a very good way to measure. Okay, then they after monitoring it, maybe I can still improve the performance somehow. They'll do some tweaking and try again. And it's a very useful tool. Else it's like you're guessing how well is the performance by other measure. This is a very good way for many, and we provide this FOC for customers using our app. It's our add-on value. Okay, we'll keep having new iteration as the new OpenVINO will come out, new version will come out. We will add in, maybe in the future will be 1.3, 1.4, but we will add in this thing. So it's very, very useful for a lot of especially the AI software vendors. Okay, so let's look into application cases that we have. We have many application cases that uses our system. So I'll go a quick run through. This is a very brief outlook. We have some that's for factory use. This is an atom-based for factory use to do the processing. This is more for vision, machine vision, okay, AOI. So you can actually add in cameras, those high bandwidth cameras, either USB-based or PoE-based. Okay, it's a similar thing. Okay, we also have it for cameras. Okay, this including the Intel Movidas, and also for streaming. So we have many, many different applications. Okay, so some of them, like for example, this is the HCNC computer numerical control machine. Is to collect all those. It's basically the main gateway to interface with your current onboard system, and then link to the backend. Locker, smart locker. As you can see, there's a lot of smart locker in the market. So we have this. In fact, we also deploy something similar to this in Singapore, where you can interface with all the different buttons to the unit is hidden, okay, and also come with the receipt printer. Sometimes some customer may add in some like TPM for security. This is for AOI. AOI is something where I may want to use those high-end, high bandwidth USB cameras or something in this manner. I can actually from there can check, is it pattern A or pattern B? Are they the same? Then we can pass through that kind of stuff. And also the factory automation. Okay, this comes with some Intel Movidas inside. So we have many, many different applications. Okay, so a quick summary. Our ARK Fanless PC, different application. Be it for the HAI, be it for surveillance, be it for vehicle, we have it. Okay, and we have diverse portfolio. We have some with many different expandability. Okay, different what we call white quotation, and also remote management that you can use this to help you in terms of your projects. Okay, so my last slide. Okay, we'll be having some more upcoming online seminar. Okay, this is a quick snapshot. The next one will be next Wednesday. Actually, it's all Wednesday. So the next few weeks, Wednesday, we are having some online webinar. So next week, we will have one that will be elaborating more on our flash and RAM, our own branded flash and RAM. They are not just typical flash or RAM. They have a lot of flexibility that you can look at, that you can incorporate. In fact, one of the good features that many customers ask for is actually the security ID to protect their software intellectual property, because they're afraid the end customer just buy the same hardware, clone, and expect it to work. There's certain protective ways that we can actually protect your software intellectual property. Okay, and there are also many, many others. So do listen. One of my colleagues will be handling this. He will be elaborating more on this next Wednesday. Do stay tuned. Then on the 20th, we'll be having one on our embedded single board computers, our key differentiators. Okay, areas that you can work it out, look for, especially for people who want to build their own equipment. I'll have another one on the 27th May which will be on global embedded design in business. This is more for equipment builders. Okay, and on the 10th, I'll elaborate more on HAI. Okay, more than what you see now. Okay, so these are the upcoming online seminars that if you are keen, you can actually register for them. Okay, so we'll send out that later part. Okay, so I come to the end of my session.